Okay, let's look up. He said CenkForAmerica.com. Is what? My God, I could do a better website with HTML in like an hour, like easy. Like, what is this? Donate. Home. Okay, where's home? Home is just here, isn't it? Well, I'm looking at the home page. Here's a link to home page, which is literally just right here. The fuck? Is this just scripting? So anyways, we'll go on to the main story because Cenk Uygur is somebody I used to respect quite a bit. I guess I still respect him to a degree. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Young Turks the past year or so have been confusing. I do not know where they stand on a lot of stuff anymore. They used to be pretty decent, and now, like, what the fuck? So anyways, Cenk Uygur announces a 2024 presidential campaign. Now, I've heard lots of rumors about his ideas and plans about this, and it sounds like the dumbest thing I could ever imagine. But let's listen to his plan. We'll listen to the full interview. We'll get his full plan and figure out, maybe Cenk Uygur's playing 8D chess and I'm just not seeing it. But this, I'll be brutally honest, this sounds like a way to get Trump in office. If it was successful, which it won't be. It will be a miserable failure. But let's get on to Cenk Uygur. Announces 2024 presidential campaign full interview. I haven't really covered Young Turks. I mean, we covered Anna's interview with Madam and Bitch on the initiative a while back, and that's actually a video segment you can go watch. But I haven't seen a Young Turks video in a while. I've never covered Young Turks on the channel, so let's see how this goes.
Welcome back to TYT. As I mentioned, there's a big announcement that will basically take up the entirety of the second hour of the show today. Here to make that announcement in the capacity as a guest is Cenk Uygur.
Yes.
Cenk, you do have this big announcement, although you've already kind of made it on the set of Breaking Points, but now it's official.
Yeah. No, I had not yet made up my mind, but I have now, and I have filed. I will be running for president of the United States of America. Coming, CenkForAmerica.com.
It's even tough for me to take that seriously. Like, what were his numbers when he ran for like that? Was it a House seat? I want to say it was a House seat. Let's look that up real fast. They were really bad. And that was a seat where it's like maybe his internet like stuff could actually help him. And then we saw how far that went, and it didn't go well. And I want to stress, like, he did like Justice Dems and stuff like that. I would consider overall Justice Dems a good thing. So here we go. So let me bring this up so you guys can see. Cenk Uygur, running for president of the United States. He declared candidacy for the Democratic Convention scheduled August 20th, 2024. Uygur was a candidate in two 2020 races for California's 25th congressional district, the regular election and the special election. The primaries for both elections took place on March 3rd, 2020. Let's see if we can pull up his numbers. Okay, so Cenk Uygur, 6.6%. I mean, that's actually better than I thought he did, but it's not great, man. These are not let's run for president next numbers. They're not. And I want to stress, like, Cenk Uygur had Young Turks was much more prominent in 2020 than they are now. That was, to be brutally honest. So like, it feels like you're going for more and you got less. I just...
And the idea here, guys, is let's change the course. Right now, Joe Biden is down 24 points in the economy, 19 points on jobs when he actually did better on jobs than Trump did. He's down 13 points from where he was in 2020. He is not going to win. I am running.
Based on what? He's not going to win what? Like, what? Like, so he's down on jobs. Okay, so that's like standard. Like, when a president's been in office, they'll typically, like, the myth of them, like, when they're running for office, will give them good numbers on stuff, and then those numbers will go down when they're actually in office. That's pretty standard.
Yes, I am a break glass in case of emergency candidate. It should not have been me. It should have been someone else, but unfortunately it was not anyone else. And now there's only 4 months left. We must change course.
Only 4 months left? What? The primary? I think Marianne Williamson is running it. Like, I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I'm pretty sure Marianne Williamson is in the Democratic primaries. Come the primary, I'm probably going to vote for Marianne. Then come with the general, I'm probably going to vote for Biden. Because let's face it, Biden has the best chance of beating Trump. He just does. I like, what's your argument that he can't? Like, he is the incumbent. I have my complaints of Biden. He drives me the fucking nuts, but he's not Trump.
He has at best a 10% chance of winning. Donald Trump is an actual fascist. So I am running.
How will you running? Okay, let's let him make his case.
As a proxy, I'm running to win, but I'm also running as a proxy for any other candidate. We have got to get Biden out of the race. Thank you for winning in 2020, but if he loses this time around, it's not just his problem, it's...
Yeah, where is he getting Biden has less than a 10% chance of winning? Where is he getting that? Let's see if we can pull up some numbers. And it's tough to look at numbers this early on, because we're still a year out. A lot can change in a week. Not to mention a lot can change in like a year. But anyway, so like a lot of these polls, like there's a couple that show Trump ahead, but it looks like most of them show Biden ahead. I mean, yeah, this one actually shows DeSantis, Biden being DeSantis. Apparently, this one doesn't even have a. Okay, then another one by this one. So Morning Consult has Biden beating both DeSantis and Trump. I mean, yeah, it's close. It's closer than I want it to be, but we aren't even in, like, Biden isn't even campaigning yet. That's the other thing. Like, Trump is currently campaigning in the primary. Biden's not campaigning. He's the incumbent. He's got the slot. And you can argue, hey, we want a good, vigorous primary to get the best positions out there. You can argue that, and you can make a really good case for that. That's not how our politics are treated, unfortunately. Typically, the incumbent can just come in and grab it. Sometimes you can get a little bit going on with the primaries, but it seems like this time around we're not.
All of our problems. I actually think democracy is on the line. And so if it takes me running.
Listen, I think if Trump gets elected, you can make a serious case. Because I don't know if you guys know of Project 2025. It's a little scary. Let me bring that up. Okay, here we go. We'll go over the wiki on it. Project 2025 is a plan to reshape the executive branch of the U.S. federal government in the event of a Republican victory in the 2024 United States presidential election. The project seeks to recruit thousands to come to Washington, D.C. to replace existing employees to restructure the executive branch of the federal government as to further the agenda and policies of Donald Trump. The plan would perform a quick takeover of the entire U.S. federal government under the maximalist version of the unitary executive theory, a theory proposing the President of the United States have absolute power of the executive branch upon inauguration. The development of the plan is led by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative U.S. think tank. It includes widespread changes across the entire government, particularly with regard to economic policy and the role of federal government and federal agencies. So to sum up real fast, this summed it up. I'll sum it up a bit more clearly. Project 2025 is a Heritage Foundation plan for once Trump gets inaugurated to make him dictator. That's it. Now, Cenk's plan has no chance of working, but let's go ahead and say it does work. Let's say he is able to push votes away from Biden. When he pushes votes away from Biden, he pretty much guarantees a Trump victory, and that will happen. So, we'll see. Listen, we're only a minute into this, but just on the face of it, it sounds like he's if his plan is successful at all, Trump wins. It's not a good plan.
Then that's what I'm going to do, and we're all going to do it together. And by the way, and I'll say this up front, and then I'll let you ask all your questions, Anna. If I do this alone and it's just my idea, it's never going to work, okay? I'm either your voice or I'm not. If you guys want to have a stronger candidate in this race and you want to beat Donald Trump, you're going to make that happen. cenkforamerica.com or in any way, volunteering, whatever you want, okay? But if I'm not your voice, I have no chance at all. So let's see if we can bring something good into the world and make a giant difference together.
Okay, let's look up. He said cenkforamerica.com. Is what? My God, I could do a better website with HTML in an hour, easy. What is this? Donate. Home. Okay, where's home? Home is just here, isn't it? Well, I'm looking at the home page. Here's a link to home page, which is literally just right here. The fuck? Is this just grifting? Is this just literally give me money? And policy. Time off for mothers, paid family leave. Why not time off for fathers too? I think mothers and fathers should get time off to be with their children. I think, why just mothers? That seems very nowhere. Higher wages, $15 minimum wage. Okay. I think it's ridiculous minimum wage isn't higher, but dude, that policy is so pre-pandemic. Minimum wage should be even higher than that now, because most wages are higher than that now. Affordable healthcare, public option. Cenk, why aren't you pushing for government option or socialized medicine, single payer? Why the milquetoast version that Biden said he would do but didn't? Fight corruption, end Jerry. That is fight corruption. Who is going to run their presidential campaign and be, I'm for corruption. I'm fighting for corruption. I want more corruption. The fuck? We got 43 minutes of this video left, but this website is nothing. Jesus Christ.
And you know me, I always believe that we can make a difference together. And this is the time to do it before the primaries are over.
So I do have a lot of questions. What I want you to explain is the logic behind what you're doing, right? Because it seems as though you think running is going to...
Can you explain any fucking sanity to what you're doing? What are you doing?
Spark something in other potential candidates. So explain what the logic is.
Great question. So first of all, when it comes to the issue of me being a naturalized citizen, which I know we're going to get to later, if it wasn't for that, there would be no obstacles to begin with. There should be a progressive in this race. There should have been one for a long time. Marianne Williamson has been in there, but unfortunately she hasn't broken through. I have nothing but respect for her courage and her policies, etc. But at this point, we're not at progressives versus establishment. we're at 4 months left, and things must change. Otherwise, we're almost definitely going to lose to Trump.
What do you mean? When
I don't like. What evidence do you have that we're going to lose to Trump? Like, I would love to know.
say 4 months left? I know what you mean, but explain it to the audience.
So Iowa, South Carolina.
I mean, it's worth noting in 2020, I felt the numbers were fairly clear. It wasn't so much that Biden was so popular and he just won. It was that people hated Trump. Like that 2020 election was less a Biden victory and more a Trump defeat.
Primaries, caucuses, et cetera, starting in about 4 months. So in fact, the Nevada ballot deadline is on October 16th. So it's in a couple of days. That forces us to go now, right? And so first of all, if Joe Biden drops out, everything is possible. Everything is possible.
Dude, if Joe, like I said, I don't like Joe Biden, but if Joe Biden drops out, Trump wins. That's I guess we have a year. I guess we have a year. Maybe we could get somebody in quickly. It's not going to be Cenk Uygur. It's not. First of all, he's not born in America. That's going to hurt him.
Other candidates will come in, Governor Whitmer, Governor Shapiro, you name it. They will all come in and we'll have a real primary, which we should have had from day one. By the way, when we don't do primaries, Republicans get their message out in their primaries is constantly talking about Republican X or Republican Y. Democrats have gotten none of their message out. We need a real strong primary. So my job is to be basically Paul Revere. Biden's gonna lose, Biden's gonna lose, Biden's gonna lose. We gotta go now. We have to change that dynamic. So I'm gonna, yes, pressure Biden to get out of the race. So if he leaves now, he's a hero. He did something incredibly magnanimous. He beat Trump last time. He was a good steward of the economy. So he retires a hero. But if he stays in, I'm gonna explain to people that he's the villain. And if he loses to Trump, if I'm wrong and he beats Trump, then great. Then my apologies to Joe Biden. But that's not gonna happen, and we all know that's not gonna happen.
Based on what, Cenk? Based on what? I'd love to know what your source is on Biden can't beat Trump.
So the idea is to create enough pressure on Biden. And here's how you get the pressure. One of the ways you get the pressure is everybody thinks that I have almost no chance of winning, right? Well, let's keep it real. Everybody knows that, right? They're like, oh, your name is funny. You weren't born here. You're a progressive. You're an outsider.
You weren't born here is a big one.
Et cetera, right? If I get to 20 or 25.
And I'll go ahead and say, like, I think the fact that you have to be a natural born citizen is kind of silly. Like, America is the melting pot. I think that requirement's kind of silly, but it does fucking exist. You can't just wave it away and pretend it doesn't exist, Cenk.
Panic sets in. There's no question panic sets in because there's two things that happen there. One, the other candidates go, well, Biden is enormously weak, right? Number two is Biden begins to realize the handwriting's on the wall. If this Cenk Uygur, who he probably can't pronounce, has gotten to 25, the handwriting's on the wall. He's gotta go.
Do you think he'll get to 25, Cenk? I mean, dude, like, I would be shocked. 25 is huge, man. I don't, like, listen, TYT is pretty big into YouTube circles, online circles, it does all right. Like, the general public has no idea who you are. My grandmother has no idea who TYT is. And keep in mind, senior citizens vote a lot. They're a huge voting clump that TYT has zero hold over. Let's hear a strategy.
And by the way, Anna, the reason why this is realistic is because there are a lot of people in Washington, inside the establishment, that are trying to get Joe Biden to drop out. We need to help them. We need to create that pressure.
Joe Biden is the incumbent, though. Like, incumbent comes with, like, built-in support. Yeah, dude, I forgot about Sargon Bakad and his trying to run and get elected on YouTube popularity. He did try that, didn't he? Yeah, no, lots of people have tried to run on YouTube popularity. It doesn't usually pan out. Like, you can use the YouTube thing to kind of, like, it's not a negative. It's not going to hurt you. But like, well, I guess it can. I think Eric July would have issues, but like in general, like if you're just like Cenk Uygur, like it could help, but like you gotta branch out outside of YouTube. You can't just do the YouTube thing. You got to do more than the YouTube thing if you wanna like get out there. Like you should do the announcement on, fucking dig up some of your connections on MSNBC and do the announcement on there instead of on your channel. Yeah, why is he doing it on his channel? He has some corporate news connections. He could reach out. They're doing it for money. I literally don't know any other reason to do this. This is for money. There's no other reason that makes fucking sense.
Sure.
Okay, let me jump in. You have publicly Bill Maher, James Carville, behind the scenes, other members of the Democratic Party urging Biden to drop out, saying that this is...
Well, if you got Bill Maher and James Carville on your side, I mean, you're winning, right? Are we serious? You're taking sides with Bill Maher and James Carville? Dude, come on.
A massive risk that will likely get Donald Trump reelected again. Why do you think that you would be an effective voice in dissuading Biden from running again?
Yeah, there's two things about that in it. So number one, why aren't they in the race? So look, you can say, well, what do you mean? Why should Bill Maher go in the race? Of course, James Carville's not gonna go in the race. Yeah, but guys, just talking about it isn't getting anything done. So you need to actually have someone in the race that is actively pushing him out and saying, so like these like polite beseeching of Joe Biden isn't working. And yes, we've got to crank up the dial. And so one of the ways you do that is you have a real candidate who actually makes a real run at him. And when you have make a real run at him, that's going to create an enormous amount of pressure rather than just chitter chatter sitting there as time runs out in Washington, D.C. Now, you're getting
a real run at him, and then this is his website. This is the cheapest piece of shit website I've ever seen in my, well, no, I can guarantee I've seen cheaper websites, but it's up there. It's fucking up there. This is supposed to take a shot at Biden. What the fuck does Biden's website look like? I guarantee you Biden has a website. What's that shit look like? Here's Joe Biden's website. He has plenty of donation stuff. He has a store, campaign video. It's fairly simple too, so I'll give him credit. It's still fairly simple, but like, there's a lot more to it. I mean, you could have embedded this goddamn announcement video into it.
Getting to an important point here.
In fact, I would actually argue, like, Joe Biden's website isn't even really like it. Like, I imagine this isn't fully up, because he's not really primarying right now or anything. This would have been Cenk's opportunity to like jump ahead of this shit, because this one, it's nothing fancy, but it's a hell of a lot fancier than this one. Cenk could have like jumped ahead and like at least had like a really fucking solid website down, and you look at that website and you're like, this is fucking serious. He's gonna go for it. And this website does not say serious. This website says, I took a half hour in HTML courses, and this is what I could come up with.
And I know some people are nervous. Well, I mean, if Joe Biden only has a 10% chance of winning, and Cenk, you criticize him, does that come down to 9% or 8%? What difference does it make? He's gonna lose. 10% isn't enough to win. He's massively behind.
He keeps on saying he has a 10% chance of winning. What is your fucking source on that one? Like, seriously, Cenk. You just keep on saying it, but like, the polls show them either deadlocked or Biden winning. So what's your source on Biden's going to lose and he only has a 10% chance of winning?
He's massively behind, okay? So instead, what the point...
I don't see massively behind whatsoever, at all.
...of turning up the pressure is if you lose to Trump, it is going to be on the record. We warned you, I came in the race in a crazy attempt to make a difference because we're on a collision course with fascism. And if Joe Biden says, yes, I am that selfish, Yes, I don't care about you guys. I don't care if democracy's on the line. I don't care if I'm 80. I don't care if I'm 180. My legacy and my ego is more important than anything else in the world.
Listen, you can levy a lot of criticisms at Biden. Raving egomaniac doesn't really come up that often. Cenk, I would actually be quicker to qualify you as a raving egomaniac before Biden. You know, I don't know what Biden's like behind closed doors. He doesn't stream regularly. Maybe he is, but that's not what comes off, man.
So I will stay here and try to get a 2-term president because 2 terms is better than 1 term. And guys, and if you're in the press or you're out there as a voter, you all know.
No, he hasn't. Yeah, Jeff, he hasn't even brought up how he can run yet. Because he's not. He wasn't born in America. Like, I don't know what his plan is to get past that.
No, that's what he's thinking. You all know that, right? You know that it's all about his ego. And it is intensely selfish. And I'm going to say.
Raving egomaniac Joe Biden. He has to create a Joe. Like, you can go after Joe Biden for, like, even corruption. But, like, ego? Dude, it's so weak. Like, you have to you have to recreate a Joe Biden to make your argument. That's weak, man.
Say that 2,000 times on every show until he gets it through his thick head. Stop being selfish. Democracy is actually on the line. JenkForAmerica.com.
In a recent interview with the Sitch and Adams show, you had described your congressional run for California.
Cenk went on Madam and Bitch too? Jesus Christ. We all gotta go on Madam and Bitch at some point, I guess.
His 25th district as the worst experience of your life.
So listen, Wallace and Gromit fan, Joe Biden's just being selfish, don't you understand? He's just being selfish by being the incumbent who has the best chance of beating Trump. How selfish of him.
In that election, you received 6.6% of the vote. It was also the worst experience of my life. What makes you think that anything would be different this time around, given the way the media treated you, given the stunts that the Democratic Party pulled against you? In order for your plan here to work, you just said it. If you start seeing support for you, 20 to 25% of the vote, that seems like you got that support, then maybe there'll be actual pressure for Biden to step down and not seek re-election. But what makes you think you're gonna get anywhere near that, considering what you've already experienced with the media's treatment of you?
Yeah, so I'm under no delusion that mainstream media is going to be all of a sudden, oh, Cenk Uygur, we've changed our minds.
No, they're going to be vicious.
Yeah, yep. No, I know how mainstream media works, and I said it today in another interview. They will.
I mean, they don't even have to be vicious at this point because this plan's insane.
Lie, they will smear me. There's no question. That's what they do to every progressive. And if you're in mainstream media and you're pretending that you're not biased against progressives, that is hilarious. And then you will make that pretense in the middle of an article where you attack me. Go ahead, you know you're going to. There isn't going to be one positive article about it, right? But hey, I'm also trying to get your beloved Whitmers and Newsoms, et cetera, into the race.
Don't say Newsom.
Okay, I know that you're not in favor of it, but that's a different conversation. So I don't think that the mainstream media is going to be any different. No, there's 2 things that are different, Anna. One is, I'm not the only one who thinks Joe Biden needs to get out of the race and we need to have a real primary. Tons of people, about 72% of Democratic voters want it. And Democratic Party, what is wrong with you? That you ignore 72% of your voters who scream, give us another candidate. So if you didn't want me in the race, well, then you should have given him another candidate, okay? And if you didn't give him that, you got me instead. So deal with it. Now, in terms of why it's different in terms of being able to break through. In the congressional run, we couldn't break through. Why not? Because they smeared me. And by the way, if I read the LA Times article and I was a voter in the 25th congressional district and I heard nothing else about me, I would have voted against me. Because the lies and the smears in there were unreal. I mean, they said I was anti-Muslim. I wouldn't vote for a guy who's anti-Muslim. They didn't tell people that I'm actually Muslim, that my background's Muslim, right, et cetera. So, but this time, it's a little bit different media dynamic. So now we have a great number of online shows. We have more liberal outlets, conservative outlets, independent outlets,
a lot more conservative outlets.
You name it, we've got every kind of outlet there is in online, in radio. I've been on black radio. I'm going to go back onto black radio. I'm going to go back onto every kind of outlet that will have me on. And my guess is a lot of outlets will have me on. In the old days, mainstream media can freeze you out, right? And then you're done for. They smear you, oh, this guy's anti-Muslim, and they anti this, anti that, and then you never get your voice out. Well, now, look, guys, here, I'm going to keep it real. When an online show has me on, the views are going to go up because people are interested in it. And so if maybe the entire internet will say, no, we're not interested in views. No, we're not interested in Cenk. We're not interested in another choice. Biden's got it. Biden's on cruise control here. He's definitely going to win. My guess is a lot of shows.
I don't think he's going to be on cruise control for the general. I mean, he's on the cruise control for the primary because he's got it locked down. I mean, listen, I love Marianne. She's not getting it, and I don't know if there's anybody else in the primary, really. Yeah, and then for the general, it will heat up, as it always does. Cenk, you're older than me. You know how presidential election cycles work.
Wherever they are on the political spectrum are going to go, oh, okay, there's a fight, okay? And now there's a real challenge. And look, one of my advantages is I am loud. And so that is sometimes a disadvantage. But in this case, someone's got to scream from the rooftops. Biden's going to lose. Biden's going to lose. We've got to get another candidate. But the advantage I have is, yes, I'm loud. I'm a warrior. And I will make this case. Not only the case that Biden's got to go, but our case. So even though this is not progressive versus establishment, and I will take any candidate, myself or others, that is going to beat Trump. Yes, but our policies are more popular, and I'm not afraid to say it. And so you almost never hear someone forcefully making the argument. Why haven't they done paid family leave? 84%. Republicans wanted, Democrats wanted paid family leave, give moms 12 weeks off.
So let's actually take a brief break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what your platform is going to look like, what type of issues.
This is edited. Why do we have Anna's segue?
Issues and policies you want to champion as part of this presidential run. And when we come back, we'll also read some of your questions and comments to Cenk. So if you're watching live, and especially if you're a member, write in if you have any questions. We'll ask when we come back from the break. We'll be right back.
This is obviously an edited video. Why is this part even in here?
Welcome back to TYT. We're interviewing Cenk Uygur, who's just announced that he is entering the presidential race. He will try to primary President Joe Biden, who is seeking re-election, who is taking a massive risk considering how poorly he's doing in the polling against Donald Trump. And
source? I need a source. I don't see him doing terribly against Trump even before the elections even really start against Trump. I don't see it.
This is Cenk's way of trying to basically prevent what appears to be a future set in stone for both Biden and Trump. Now, I want to read some comments from our viewers, Cenk, because there are some who have questions, some who have concerns, others support you in this effort. Seth Michael Draginski says, I have so many mixed opinions on this, but if you can't get into a debate with Biden, how does this matter? I'm asking for you to genuinely explain it to me. If you don't go all the way, what's the plan then? I really need these answers to decide where I end up on this.
Okay, super fair. So first of all, of course, the DNC should have a debates, and I understand that they're not going to because they are in the business of protecting incumbency, which is not their job. Their job is to pick the best Democrat, to be the best.
I mean, true, that's a valid criticism, but okay.
Candidate against the Republicans, but they have abdicated that responsibility. I don't think that they're going to go, oh, Cenk Uygur's in the race. Well, then we should do a debate right away. So I understand that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't pressure them. You should. Now, let's all note that we all know, and you don't have to be a Young Turks viewer to know this, that Joe Biden could not withstand a debate against me. It wouldn't even be close. It would be embarrassing. Why are
Well, I mean, we kind of saw. I assumed like he was on Ritalin or something. I don't know. I don't know Joe Biden's state of mind, but he did fine against Trump.
Are we picking a guy who would be embarrassed by an online talk show host in a debate, and we all know it and we can all acknowledge it? He has no chance of beating someone who has actual facts and makes a strong case. So he can't even make a case for himself. He's at 19 points lower than Trump on jobs when he doubled the number of jobs that Trump created. I have made a better case for Biden on jobs than he has. So now, in terms of what happens,
Biden has actually been a really good, strong pro-union president. I've said that before and I'll say it again. With the exception of the railroad workers, which was a huge L, in my opinion, for him. He has had very good policy supporting unions and workers.
Well, we run super hard. I believe anything is possible. Do I believe we can win? Hell yes, I do. But if you...
Okay, so I will give, like, no, he does not have a chance of winning. But of course, like, if he's going to seriously do that, he has to pump up that he can.
Get to Iowa, you get to South Carolina, which is in about 4 months from now, and I'm wrong, and we don't come close, we don't get to, God knows what I'll start at. I have no idea what number I'll start at, right? But I assume that it'll be low. But let's say I do the circuit and I get the message out there and people get, oh my God, your policies are so popular. Why aren't we doing those? Your voice is so strong. That's exactly what we want for the Democratic Party. Okay, great. Then I get to 20, I get to 25, I get to 35, wonderful. But if that doesn't happen and you lose Iowa and South Carolina decisively, you're done. It's not like you're dragging it out, right? And guys, this is another huge part of this. No one on the Democratic Party is fighting Trump. I mean, they're playing patty cakes with this guy. The guy used Nazi words the other day about poisoning the blood of our nation. The guy tried a coup attempt here. For God's sake, somebody fight him. I'm not waiting for Chris Christie to fight Donald Trump.
Trump is in a primary, Cenk. So Chris Christie would be the guy who would fight him at this point. The general is later. Yes, Trump is a piece of shit. I agree. Trump is the egomaniac you seem to be claiming Biden is. He is absolutely an egomaniac. But like, yeah, he's fighting other Republicans right now. When the primary's over, it'll be time for the general, and that's when Biden will go after him. Like, expecting Biden to go after him now, why? Hell, maybe Biden goes after him, then he has to run against DeSantis or some shit. Like, it's a waste of money, frankly, to go after him at this point. I don't know why he would.
I'm gonna fight Donald Trump. I'm a Democrat, and so our job, and I gotta, Joe, wake up. You're supposed to fight the guy. Here, I'll tell you this, guys.
He's not running against him yet. They have to work out the primary. Right now, they're fighting amongst themselves. And, dude, there's no reason to get involved in a fight when, like, the guys you're running against are all fighting amongst themselves already. That's not the fight you get involved with, dude.
Let's say we go a month, right? Month is not much at all. And I rise in the polls more than Biden does. What does that tell you?
It tells you have more room for movement. If Biden is at like 51% and he goes to 51.5% and you're at like 2% and you go to 7%, you can't turn around and say, oh, see, I moved up 5 points. Biden can't do that. No, you have more room for movement. You're going to start piss low. You're going to start miserably fucking low. You're going to have way more room for movement than Biden does.
I mean, Biden is right now trailing the most unpopular politician of our lifetimes, Donald Trump. And he needs to be up 5. So if Joe Biden surges, and now he's up 5, he's up 7. Oh, great, Michigan, my bad. Okay, then you should say, hey, you know what? If he did this for me, I'm gonna vote for him. If it looks like he's gonna win, I'm gonna vote for him. But why would you pick a guy that you know almost for sure is going to lose? So we're gonna put the voters to a decision. Can we win that decision? Yes, of course we can. Because the Democratic voters, because of mainstream media, have almost never heard a super strong Democrat that says we are right on the issues. We should have $15 minimum wage. We should have at a minimum public option.
I'm pretty sure the average Democratic voter has heard of Bernie. I'm pretty sure, Cenk. I may be wrong, but
they're incredibly popular. They're not progressive radical positions, etc. They're progressive mainstream positions. They're centrist positions. And they've never seen a Democrat actually rip the face off a Republican. So obviously rhetorical, right? These days you have to clarify that because of the Republicans. But they put like, oh, my Joe Biden, you're gonna see it again. He's gonna go on the campaign trail and like a schmuck, he's gonna thank his Republican friends. Stop doing ads for them. I will not be doing ads for Republicans. I will be attacking Donald Trump and telling you what a spoiled little child he is and how he bankrupted every business he's ever been involved in. He's pathetically weak. I will fight for you, Seth. That's what I'll do. JankForAmerica.com. But not only that, we already bought BidenIsGonnaLose.com. BidenIsGonnaLose.com.
So, okay, you're
good. Yeah, buy it up.
displaying your typical bomb.
Okay, what's Biden's? I'm kind of interested, like with how cheap that website was. What's BidensGonnaLose.com? BidensGonnaLose.com gave me nothing, and then if I just do a Google search for Biden's Gonna Lose, I get like SoundCloud. Because yeah, if I just do Biden's going. Maybe it's going to lose.com. No? And then it's not gonna lose. Gonna lose.com. No. I mean, it's a waste of money. It's a dumb website to get, but like you just said you bought it. Where, like, why can't I find it?
Bombastic style.
I am.
Which we know. Which leads me to think about the actual kingmakers in every election. And those kingmakers are not either party. It's the people who are undecided, the independent voters. Mm-hmm. How do you propose to appeal to them?
Oh, that's super easy. Okay. I thought you were gonna say kingmakers isn't donors. Okay, so
no.
That's the first layer of kingmakers.
We can get to funding in a minute, but yeah, I am curious because I enjoy your boisterous, bombastic style. It's off-putting for others. I would venture to say some who identify as independents, maybe a little more conservative leaning, but are open to Democratic candidates.
So look, here's what independents and even conservatives know they're gonna get with me: honesty and authenticity. So I'm not gonna pull my punches when I don't agree with you. I'm gonna throw the punch. Everybody knows that, right? So now you could say that's alienating. Sure, fair, all right? But on the other hand, when I'm honest with them and I say, hey, look, conservatives figured out that corruption was so bad that basically these things were, all these campaign contributions are bribes. That's why they want to drain the swamp. They went in the wrong direction with Trump. I won't bend 1 inch on that, okay?
Did you think they actually want to drain the swamp? And wasn't drain the swamp Trump's catchphrase anyway? It wasn't like a conservative thing. That was a Trump thing, as I recall.
Okay, you were wrong to go in that direction. Having said that, you were right that yes, corruption is totally out of control. And what other Democrat tells you that? Acknowledges, hey, Mitch McConnell raised $1 billion. Every Democrat out there is going, yeah, oh man, corrupt son of a bitch, right? And mainstream media was willing to begin to entertain that conversation. Nancy Pelosi also took $1 billion. Is she an angel? No, it's not about personalities. And I don't have anything against Nancy Pelosi on a personal level, but you took the $1 billion because you were going to serve those folks, and you did serve those folks. Now, independents know.
Okay, so yes, corruption, huge fucking problem in our political system. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. You still do need money to win, Cenk, and you haven't presented a case that Biden's gonna lose yet. You keep on, like, you seem to really want to push that point, but like, you have no sources. You just keep on saying it. You know
that, and
it's a lot like these conservative guys I cover, Cenk. To be frank, they just say shit without sourcing.
When the Democrats keep going, no, when we take the corporate money, it's because we happen to agree with ExxonMobil. They lose all credibility, all ability to win independents. I would win more independent votes than any Democrat. It wouldn't even be close. And look, another thing is, Anna, as you know, and as we've taken.
It's not just taking the corporate money, it's getting the message out, Cenk. You gotta get the message out. You fucking know this, too. Like, the fact that I'm pointing out basic political facts to Cenk fucking Uygur, you know there's something up. He knows this a million times more than I do. It's insane.
Taking some heat for here. Our positions are what I call mainstream progressive. So they are not extreme left. And so, for example, one of the things that I'm animated about is crime. And I've had that debate with leftists online. God bless them, love them, brothers and sisters, okay? But crime is real. It's not, people are not imagining it. And crime is, by the way, an iceberg for the Democratic Party. That's the second thing I'll warn you about. Look, you talk, and you don't trust my anecdotes. Go do your own anecdotes. People outside of politics, okay? People inside politics, their brain is melted. They're like, oh yes, whoever is the leader, yes, of course. If you're losing by 24, that means you're going to win any second now. You're going to turn it around because Joe Biden has so much charisma. So you can't talk to people in politics. Their brain is totally melted. But talk to real Americans. I did this weekend, usual stuff, family, friends, etc., that are not involved in politics. So they said two things. I said, do you think Joe Biden's gonna win? They all laughed out loud. They're like, yeah, he's so old. So in politics, everybody.
Okay, so you were just in a room full of friends and their response was Biden's old. You know what an anecdote is, right, Cenk?
He's like careful, like, oh, you're ageist and this and that. We can't. I'm saying it out loud because the whole country's saying it.
You do know Trump is old as dirt too. He's not as old as Biden, but he's not a young man either.
Out loud, he's too old. He's too old. We all know he's too old. And look, am I worried that it's beyond just too old? We're all worried that it's beyond just too old. The second thing they say, Anna, I asked them. And they happen to be Asian. And I said, if the Republicans weren't weirdly hateful, how many of you would vote for Republicans now? And they all raised their hands. They're all Democrats.
Oh, but you put a huge caveat on there, Cenk, because they are hugely hateful. That's a huge caveat. It's like, hey, if the Republicans were normal, would you vote for them? And lots of people probably say, yeah, because Biden kind of sucks. But like, that caveat is, it's not a real thing. Republicans have been, lots of them, campaigning on being hateful.
I said, why? They said crime.
Crime, the migrant crisis, which they've provided absolutely no resources for and pretend like is no big deal, as local communities are now fighting for scraps among each other, and the migrants who need to be sheltered and housed and everything.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Edit better. Oh my God.
The Democratic Party is more interested in, they're paying your dues and respecting your elders type nonsense. Like I really fail to understand how any potential Democratic candidate would see your run as a sign that they need to enter the race. I really do. I don't see it.
No, we got to knock Biden out. There's no other way around it. We have to knock Biden out. So now the guys who are not running currently, yeah, they believe in authoritarian rules, right? If the dear leader, Joe Biden, says, I don't care if I'm 90 or 200, you will bow, they bow. And that is not what a Democrat is supposed to be. We're not supposed to bow down to authority. We're supposed to challenge authority.
Well, they're doing it to protect our democracy, Cenk.
Oh, yeah.
Democracy is under threat, so.
Yeah, if you're one of those Democratic governors, don't you ever dare say that democracy is under threat and not run against the guy who has almost no chance of winning. We're giving the election to Donald Trump. Man. I'm not gonna do it. I'll do anything to make.
We're like halfway through. He still hasn't explained how he could possibly get elected by not being born in America. Like,
sure that doesn't happen. By the way, if you agree, it doesn't matter what your politics is. Just send in a.
Yes, no, this just shit Cenk is doing is self-destructive. Like if you want a good, strong progressive, I'll be blunt. The best chance for a progressive to run will be 2028. Biden, if Biden wins, we need to get Biden to win first. And then 2028 will be a good opportunity for a progressive to run. They have a solid shot because a lot of the liberals, the standard Democrats, they might be willing to experiment a little bit after Biden because Biden, played it too safe. Let's experiment a little bit after Biden. Now, if Trump gets in there, then it's fucked. If Trump gets in there, then in 2028, we're right back to getting the safe candidate. We're back to, fucking another Biden-type candidate. That's why, essentially, you gotta get Biden in. You gotta get 4 more years, and yes, it fucking sucks. There's worse than Biden. I'll be blunt. There's much worse than Biden. Biden might legit be the best president of my lifetime, which doesn't really speak to him being actually good and speaks to just the miserable quality of presidents we've had in my lifetime. But anyways, that is. But, get Biden in for 4 more years, get everybody feeling safe and that we're in a good position, and then get a good, strong progressive going in 2028. In fact, Cenk, if you're fucking serious about change, start getting somebody set up for that. For fuck's sake. Forcing Biden out now is insane. Because you force Biden out now, there's a vacuum in the Democratic Party, and Trump wins. That's how it works.
Dollar at cenkforamerica.com as like a protest. Oh, please, another candidate. Please, me or anyone else. Okay, so in terms of how, I'm sorry, what was the question you were asking? The Democratic Party. Okay, yeah, so look, I hear you. That's the current state of the Democratic Party. Okay, now I'm gonna say something that, let's whisper of a dream, right? I'm running to win. I'm running for a number of reasons, including to make sure that we get the best possible candidate, but I'm definitely running to win. And when people hear my message, I think they are going to be very excited that this message exists. Remember, people who watch mainstream media, I know it sounds shocking, but a lot of them have never heard this message. Never heard that Joe Biden didn't even try the public option and that the public option is sitting at 68%. 2/3 of the country.
True. Biden should be pushing for the public option. 100% agree. You don't get that by eliminating his chance of winning and making a vacuum so Trump can win. It's not how that works. And Jesus, he still hasn't covered how he has any plan to fucking actually run, considering he wasn't born in America.
Wants it, and the Democrats will not try. And so the dream that I'm whispering is, well, if I win, then we are the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party switches overnight from one that is weak, that won't fight Republicans, that won't do anything that makes sense, that is reasonable, that can win elections. Overnight, we switch to
Cenk, you've been spending this time talking about how Biden only has a 10% chance of winning, which you don't have a source for that. But go ahead, I'll give it to you. You have a much lower chance of winning, infinitesimally less. It's insane. So what is this argument that somehow you will win and you will reform the Democratic Party? Hey, you know what? Hey, I would love it if that was a possibility. Love it. Fucking great. Gold star. What strategy do you have to possibly do that? Because so far you haven't said anything. So far what I'm getting is a fundraising scheme. That's what I'm getting.
We fight for things that are popular. The whole country's on our side on a huge number of issues. And we fight for them and we win. Imagine a Democratic Party that's strong. cenkforamerica.com.
Our viewer, General Lemon, has a question for you. I think we know the answer to this, but just want to put it out on the record. Will you be taking any super PAC money?
Yeah, no, you don't know the answer. So here's the situation, guys. The DNC, and this is coincidental, but TYT Reports broke this. Okay, this happened a little while back and we reported on it on Friday. So Candace Cole's the reporter for TYT Reports in DC, and she broke the story of how the DNC had a vote on keeping dark money out of the primaries, okay? Now, I'm massively in favor of taking dark money out of the primaries. If they pass that rule, I would be thrilled about following it. Then later, and you would love this, they passed a resolution condemning dark money.
Okay.
So they voted in favor of dark money but then condemn themselves for taking dark money. That's the current state of the Democratic Party. Okay, so if they're not gonna, and they always say about the general elections, oh, we have to keep the money in politics because we're not doing unilateral disarmament. Then I'm not doing unilateral disarmament. I don't know that I'm gonna have a huge amount of big dollar donors that come in and create super PACs for me, but I might. And if I do, God help you. Me with money, they're in a world of trouble.
So you'll just be corrupt like the other ones, because that's what the super PAC. The issue with the super PAC money is essentially you get these big businesses that give you money, and they will influence your vote. But when they come calling, you answer. That's the deal. The unwritten rule of super PACs. Cenk, you know this. You fucking know this. That's why that question was asked. And you're just like, yeah, I'll take super PAC money. The fuck? What good are you then? Like, what's the point of you?
So if there's super PACs that come in and they do independent expenditures, have at it, Hoss. Go for it. And if you don't like it, then make sure that there's no dark money in the Democratic primaries, which is a position that I want, okay? Look, I said this in my book. I'm going to, whether it's the PACs that I formed, this presidential run, whatever it is, I'm a battering ram. And eventually, progressives will spend so much money in politics, it'll be grassroots donors, the overwhelming majority of them. But we will collect them as Bernie did. He got over $200 million twice in presidential elections. We will collect that money and we will spend it to attack the establishment Democrats so much that they cry uncle. And they go, oh, no, we didn't want money in politics. Then we will take that money and we will crash it on top of the Republican Party's head until they cry uncle. And they get money out of politics to get our money out of.
See, I'm gonna take super PAC money to take out super PAC money. That's not how it works. It's not. Do you think somebody's gonna pay you super PAC money to take out super PAC money? It's part of the issue with our fucking system, Cenk. Yeah. Jesus.
Of politics. Meanwhile, cenkforamerica.com. Look, guys, bottom line is, you either look. I'm not spectacularly wealthy. Oh God, I wish I was. If I was,
no, this seems like a fundraising scheme. It really fucking does.
I would spend so much money. I would make them cry. You want to have these super PACs go and attack progressives like Nina Turner? I would double anything a super PAC spent if I had that kind of money. But for now, it's us together, guys. Either you say, yeah, go get him, Cenk, go get him. Go to cenkforamerica.com. You know, you give $1, great. That's a protest against the current system. You want to give more, fantastic. Whatever money you give.
That's like, yeah, he has been saying Cenk for America a lot because I mean he's promoting it, but like the website's garbage. He has no chance. He has to know he has no chance. The shit I've been saying to criticize him during this stream is shit he knows way better than I do. Way better than I do. So he clearly, this is just going for money. That's it. This is just a fundraising scheme. He has no chance. God forbid he actually be successful and make a power vacuum in the Democratic Party and just allow Trump to walk in. Jesus Christ, that would be a fucking mess. Yeah, no, exactly, Greg. And he hasn't even explained how he can run without being born in the United States. Like, fuck. Arnold Schwarzenegger actually said after he was governor that, like, he's out of politics because the only position he'd be interested in after governor would be the presidency, and he can't fucking run. Arnold Schwarzenegger can't run because he's not a natural born citizen. But Cenk Uygur can? The fuck are you talking about?
I'm going to take that and put so much energy behind it. And I'm going to amplify it. And yes, we can win that way.
When we come back from the break, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that you are not an American-born citizen, you're a naturalized citizen. So there are some big obstacles and questions surrounding your eligibility to run for president. So
I got this.
We'll address that. I also want to address what your presidential run means for the show, which is my priority. So we'll talk about what that means for the main show and for the company when we return. Welcome back to TYT. We're interviewing Cenk Uygur, who's just announced that he is running for president and challenging President Joe Biden in the primary. So, Cenk, the big issue, the big obstacle kind of standing in your way is the fact that you were born in Turkey, you immigrated to the United States at 8 years old, you are a naturalized citizen, but my understanding is that only US-born citizens can run for president. You disagree with that. Why?
Yeah, the case law is completely on my side. So this conventional wisdom, we've all heard it. We heard it in 8th grade civics class, and it's stuck in our heads. It was an easy thing to remember, right? Oh, if you're not born here. And by the way, there's 25 million Americans who are naturalized citizens. And every one of us has heard about 200 times in our lives, ha, you can't run for president. Now, look, guys, the people who say that, they just remember it from school. They don't mean any harm by it, right? But for those of us who hear it, what we're hearing is you're not really fully American. We don't trust you. You're from a different country. And so the reason that the founding fathers put that in the first place was because at the time they were worried about royal princes that come into the bloodline and who find a way to snake control away to a foreign government. That stuff's not at all relevant anymore. And it's obviously not fair. It's super not fair. There's Ted Lieu, who's in Congress now and who's a colonel in the Air Force. What is he not? He's loyal to Taiwan because he came when he was 3. Right. It's absurd. But none of that matters. The only thing that matters is the case law. And the Supreme Court has already ruled in Schneider v. Rusk. I asked you guys if you would do graphics. Do you have those graphics or no?
We do, yeah, let's put them.
So, and I wanted to show you guys this so you can see it with your own eyes. And thank you for humoring me on that. And so this is from a law review article in University of Illinois. And it shows you definitively that Schneider v. Rusk has already decided this issue. So they had an issue that came up where naturalized citizens were being treated different than natural born citizens. So here's what the court wrote. This is the Supreme Court in that case. The statute proceeds on the impermissible assumption that naturalized citizens as a class are less reliable and bear less allegiance to this country than do the native born. This is an assumption that is impossible for us to make. Moreover, while the Fifth Amendment contains no equal protection clause, it does forbid discrimination that is so unjustifiable as to be violative of due process. A native born citizen is free to reside abroad indefinitely without suffering loss of citizenship. The discrimination aimed at naturalized citizens drastically limits their rights to live and work abroad in a way that other citizens may. It creates indeed a second-class citizenship. So the Supreme Court ruled it is
okay. I mean, he's trying to make a case, but they would have to rule on this still. Like, that doesn't change the law already in effect just because that happened.
Unconstitutional to discriminate against naturalized citizens. This issue is actually already settled, just no one knows it. So I'm gonna try to get this albatross off of all of our necks. If you're one of those 25 million Americans, that alone is a reason to go to cenkforamerica.com and support what I'm doing, because I'm going to try my best to make us all 100% citizens. And I think the Supreme Court is clearly on our side. I'll read one last thing. Thank you for humor.
Oh God, and it's a far right Supreme Court too. Like, Roberts is like the moderate on the Supreme Court, and even with his vote, they wouldn't have a majority. Like, it's a very conservative Supreme Court right now, Cenk, and you're depending on that to win? Oof.
Humoring me on this, the law review article of University of Illinois concluded this should be the end of the story. Schneider is clear that treating natural born citizens and naturalized citizens differently is contrary to the Fifth Amendment. Forbidding naturalized citizens from being president or vice president is a form of discrimination that limits their options and treats them as second-class citizens.
The case law was stronger, man. This is just some dude's opinion. And you know what, dude? I actually agree. I think naturalized citizens should be able to run, but the rule is still there. We can't just pretend like the rule isn't there because we don't want the rule to be there. Like, it's fucking there, Cenk. Like, what are you gonna do to tackle it?
It is not permissible. It is unconstitutional.
So while I agree,
that's just that guy's opinion, though. Fuck.
With that take, I certainly agree with that take. the Constitution also says the following. Okay, so this is Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5 of the United States Constitution. No person except a natural born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States.
So Anna, it's a great question, especially because for folks who are not familiar with constitutional law, but although all of you will get it instantly, the amendments obviously amend the original Constitution.
Right.
Yes, dude. Oh my God. Do you think? Yes, you can do amendments. You can absolutely do amendments, Cenk. Do you think in the next year the far-right Supreme Court will do an amendment to change this? Do you think that's realistic? The fuck?
And what I just read to you in Schneider is the Supreme Court said very clearly that the Fifth Amendment amended the Constitution to make naturalized citizens have the same exact rights because of due process.
I mean, do we have to point out that Roe versus Wade was recently overturned? I don't know if you heard about it. It was recently overturned. But it was a Supreme Court decision back in the 70s, 60s, 70s. When was Roe versus Wade? Let's dig this up real fast. Let's get the ducks in a row here. 1973, Roe versus Wade. It's the Supreme Court decision to essentially allow women autonomy over their bodies. This was a Supreme Court decision that was literally overturned. This is just a flip of the Supreme Court. Now you're talking about something where it's like, you could see the Supreme Court's kind of make the argument, maybe you could run for president, but it's kind of, it's not direct. And you're asking for them to go ahead and follow along with that when, like, they've shown a willingness to completely overturn something that they've already fucking done. This isn't even close to fucking... You're acting like this is a done deal, and it's not. It's not even fucking close, Cenk.
And later, Fifth Amendment jurisprudence in America also includes the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. So if you want to undo that, you'd have to wipe away a giant chunk of American jurisprudence, which they would have to go wildly against precedent to do. And so that part has simply been amended out of the Constitution. It is absolutely clear as Schneider. And by the way, if you're saying, yeah, but Cenk, are you going to have the resources to be able to do this? They take this case to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, it's a good question. And are you lawyering up? Like, what's your plan? Because this will be challenged if you are seen as enough of a threat to the Democratic Party.
No question. So I have lawyered up. I have the same lawyer Bernie Sanders used in both of his presidential runs. And my guess is I'm going to have some strong allies in this. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm going to the Supreme Court. Either I'm going to win or I'm going to lose. Now the case is on our side. Precedent is definitely on our side. So what are you going to do, brother? Are you going to sit on the sidelines? Or, by the way, not just Schwarzenegger, 25 million Americans. Aren't you guys sick of this? We are. Here, I'll give you one last example. Rahm Emanuel, born in America, but went and served in the Israeli Defense Forces. No problem, I got no beef with that, okay? But he can run.
That's the thing, Pink Bunny. It only makes sense if you look at it as just pure fundraising scheme. That's the only way any of this makes sense. Like, he is contorting so much just to be like, oh yeah, no, this is fine, this is legit, I can do this. This only makes sense if you think of it in fundraising.
Run for president. He served in a foreign army, but can run for president. Patrick Bet-David, right winger, okay, was on his show. He's a Christian Armenian from Iran. His family fled from the Iranian Revolution. Mm-hmm. He was in the 101st Airborne. He served in our army. So Patrick Bet-David can't run for president, even though he served in our army. And what is this? Does he owe allegiance to Iran that he ran from? But Rahm Emanuel, who served in a foreign army, can run for president. It makes no sense. 25 million Americans, cenkforamerica.com. We're gonna win this case in the Supreme Court. We're gonna win it, and that alone is gonna make a giant difference. I'm sick of this discrimination. Guys, this is really important for you to understand. I'm on here as a guest, and I'm on many other shows as a guest. That when I do that, I'm running for my campaign, okay? But when I'm on as a host, that's my daytime job. So some people are mechanics, some people are, for most of the people running, they're usually some sort of lobbyist, consultant, disguised as a politician, etc. right? So for me, I have to earn a living. So I'm going to stay on the show, but I am not allowed to talk about things that are directly related to the Democratic primary. I can comment about all the other news, and I can even comment about Biden and Harris. And by the way, if you notice in the last week, I've given Biden a ton of credit for some of the things that he's done, the student debt relief, the job numbers are great. I think I make a better case for Biden than he does, right? And that's part of why he's such a bad candidate, even though he has had some accomplishments. But so we religiously are going to keep that separate, okay?
Okay, we have a few more minutes. Got a jazzy number. They have to have a full-time editor, right?
I wanted to allow the audience to weigh in a little bit. I don't want to be all negative, so I'll read the positive comments as well, starting with 420 JR Man, who says, vote for Cenk Uygur, our POTUS 24. Progressive Bandito says Cenk 2024. Fortnite Pro, AKA Be Kind Dragon, says, I'm voting for you because we must win. Lisa Schuster, he needs to tell us how he pronounces his last name.
Yeah, that's super fair. It's for those of you who are new to it, and for a lot of people that are older to it. Okay, my name is difficult. Cenk, this is pronounced like a J, Cenk, and then Uygur, Cenk Uygur. Okay, and it's cenkforamerica.com. Yes, it's CENK foramerica.com. But don't worry, we got almost all the spellings, so you can spell it any way you like, and you'll probably get to us anyway.
Patches the Fury is concerned that you running in a Democratic primary is going to help Trump win. What is your response to that?
So two things, guys. I'm going to be the main Democrat in the race.
She didn't quote him, though. What was his exact quote, I wonder?
Actually running against Trump. So, nothing against Marianne Williamson, but her voice just can't get out, right? And it's not her fault.
Well, if you want her voice to get out, why don't you put her on your show more? That's your biggest trumpet, Cenk. So, put Marianne Williamson on your show a lot. Get her voice out there instead of this ego-driven thing, which it is. Marianne Williamson also doesn't have to depend on a Supreme Court decision.
But it hasn't, right? So, but Biden refuses to run against Trump. He refuses to run against McCarthy and Scalise and all these guys. When's the last time you heard Biden take on Kevin McCarthy? Maybe never.
That, it wouldn't surprise me because I know Hassan and Cenk have had some disagreements recently. But yeah, if Hassan prefers Marianne to Cenk, that's also not surprising, but also kind of wild.
Right? Isn't that amazing that the leader of the Democratic Party will not fight the Republicans? I'm gonna get in the race, whichever show I go on, not just this show, but the other shows that'll have me on. I'm gonna explain. Donald Trump is a little tiny baby. He bankrupted 6 different companies. His daddy gave him money. Here, I have a nickname for Donald Trump already. See, already, no other Democrat would do that. Oh, that's not classy. We just sit here and lose in a super classy way. Well, I'm not classy, okay? So his name from now on is Spoiled Donnie. So Spoiled Donnie got $413 million from his dad.
That's not as catchy as Donald Trump's name, so I'm just gonna say it.
And then he sucked his thumb until he lost it all. Total, utter loser. The weakest man in America, the most insecure, most thin-skinned man in America. And he sucks at everything he does. Everyone here, 40 out of 44 cabinet officials that served under his term will not endorse him. Because if you're in a room with Donald Trump, you realize what a lunatic, what a madman. And now he's going around saying that he's going to destroy our government. He thinks he's going to suspend our Constitution. For God's sake, Democrats, run against Donald Trump. So that's what I'm going to do.
We aren't at the general yet, though, Cenk. Pay attention.
And so, but guys, I promise you, that if it looks like, oh my God, no, the Democrats coalesce again, and they're like, no, we want to lose with Biden. We'd rather lose with Biden than have a real candidate. And besides which, Trump's going to do a giant tax cuts for corporations again, right? So if they coalesce around him, and it looks like, look, I pounded this guy for 3 months, and he's not going away, and I don't want to do damage. No, mission number 1 is beat Trump. Beat Trump, beat Trump, beat Trump. So we're gonna do that together. If it's not working and it's not going in that direction, We're not going to do that, okay? We're going to fight super hard against Trump.
Now, I doubt you've even thought about this. So let's get ahead of ourselves a little bit. Reaper Dragon wants to know, if you were to win the nomination, would you consider Marianne as a running mate? And if not, who would you consider? Cenk 2024.
Yeah, so.
A mile away.
No, I don't. I haven't picked a vice presidential candidate, but bless your heart for asking. Okay, so Marianne's wonderful, but guys, let's whisper of a dream. There are an amazing number of progressives in this country. Okay, sure, vice president, but think of Secretary of Labor, think of Secretary of the Treasury, think of the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, being progressives. I know I'm driving away establishment people. They're like, oh my God, they would do good in this country. They were trying to help real people. Don't do that. That's what my guess is what the mainstream media will say. But I will give you the most spectacular cabinet you have ever seen. CenkForAmerica.com.
My God, I will give you the most spectacular, that is exactly something Trump would say. Exactly, Cenk. Do you realize that? The most spectacular candidate, the most spectacular cabinet you've ever seen.
Solo6, who resubscribed for 28 months, thank you for that. Thank God someone is running for president that actually cares about the American people and not the American corporations. So you are getting a lot of support from our audience, but Galfar71 says, why would someone vote for you when you are already saying you aren't in it to win it?
No, I'm in it to
Exactly, Wallace and Gromit fan. The most perfect cabinet.
win it, brother. So thank you for the question. So listen, there's layers to this, right? Layer number one is Biden's going to lose. We need as many people in this race as possible. So now, if I was a normal politician, I would say, no, I don't want other people in the race. It's about me. That's how almost all politicians think, right? No, I'm telling you guys, I'm a proxy. Let's go. Let's get everybody in here. Now, does that mean I'm going to leave when they get out? No. When they get in, I'm going to kick their ass. And if I don't, and you pick one of them, great, no problem. I believe in democracy. I believe in primaries. But I also believe that I make a way better case for the Democratic Party than any of those guys do. Do any of those guys fight for you like I fight for you? Are they going to support the most popular policies and then tell you how they're going to do it? I mean, we got paid family leave at 84%. So if you can't do that, you're saying I'm an incompetent party or I don't want to do that. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is not pass the laws. I'm going to do the thing that's going to help pass the laws. I'm going to call Chuck Schumer and say, you better fire that parliamentarian. If he or she is not fired by the end of the day, you're going to have giant trouble. Again, people on TV will go, oh, you can't do that. That is not polite. No, there ain't going to be no filibuster. I'm either going to break those senators or they're going to break me. But we're going to end that filibuster. I mean, if a guy like me wins, that means we got a Democratic House, we got a Democratic Senate, and we're going to pass these damn laws. We're going to pass them, and there ain't nothing in the world that can stop me. So look, guys, the one thing that if you watch Young Turks, but even if you don't, you know, is that I'm relentless. And okay, I get knocked down all the time. It's not that I have an endless string of victories, but have I done things when people thought it wasn't possible? So when I started this, we started in my living room. And if I told people then we're gonna get 5 billion views a year, they would have laughed their ass off. They would have said, that's impossible. If I said to them, we're gonna be the #1 online news show, they would have said, that's impossible. If I said to them, I'm going to win an award for the best host on the entire internet, they would have said, this guy's lost his mind. If I said to them, I'm not gonna work for Dan Rather, Dan Rather's gonna work for me. So you gotta lock this guy up. How many impossible things do I have to do before maybe people begin to think, maybe it's not impossible? And you know what my magic trick is? You guys. So I'll give you one last example, but I'll give you dozens.
You gotta be fast.
Okay, MSNBC. When I announced my nomination for being a host on MSNBC, my agent said it was so embarrassing he wanted to leave me. I eventually fired him. But we got that because of you guys. There isn't anything that we can't do together. CenkForAmerica.com. Watch us. Watch what we do next.
All right, so that is the Young Turks, desperate for money. I don't know. Listen, I used to watch Young Turks fairly regularly. I used to watch the I'm brain farting. I used to watch the live streams fairly regularly. It's been years, but I used to watch them fairly regularly. I had great respect for Cenk and especially Anna. And this path they've gone on the past year or so has been kind of fucking distressing to me. Because these are people I once respected, and their rhetoric, listen, they're not chuds, they're not far right wingers or anything like that, so no. But their rhetoric has been much worse than it used to be. Much worse. And the fact that, like, they're, like, this I'm gonna run for president, and it's clear, like, you have zero chance to do any of the shit you're talking about. The only thing you have a solid chance of doing is raising some fucking money. And that's it. And that's all your goal. That's all your goal is at this point, isn't it? Just raise some fucking money. Dude, like, just do a fucking 24-hour fundraiser on your channel, for your channel. I would have respect for that. This is garbage. The best scenario is either somehow you get in there and you win and you just wipe them all out, or you fucking lose miserably. Because if you end up somewhere in the middle, if you end up knocking Joe Biden down a couple steps, fucking Trump wins. It's insane. This is an insane strategy that only makes sense through the I'm going to make money. And my whole goal is to only make money. That's the only way this strategy makes sense. And I hate having to call out the Young Turks this year. Because, like I said, I had respect for them. It's respect I am slowly losing as time goes by. But, I mean, there it is. Anna's yelling about being called a birthing person. And Cenk thinks he can run for president because there's going to be 50 fucking million miracles that happen between now and when he can run, and somehow he will knock Biden down so Trump can't win, even though knocking Biden down would be exactly what Trump would want. And I used to think, upon watching that, I don't really think, I guess I can't eliminate the possibility that maybe they're taking some right-wing money. But upon watching that, I don't really think so, because it really seems like the push of watching that is just, please give us money. Please give us money. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.